Hi everyone, today I'm going to be discussing my anticipated 2021 releases. So before we get into this, there's just a couple of things to say. Number one is I'm really bad for keeping up with new releases. It's only like authors that I have read from or like continuations I'm excited for. So a lot of the books on this list you will probably have heard of. Also, most of them are within the first 6 months. I think there's two that are being published in July. So I might, if I see more as I go on, I might make a part 2 in like June or something for the second half of the year. Like debuts and all of that, I'm so bad for keeping up with those. It's like the month of, if I might hear something about it and be like, that sounds interesting. So there's 13 on this list, and I suppose we'll just go in publishing date. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. This is the 6th book in the Wayward Children series. This comes out on the 12th of January. I have mixed feelings on the Wayward Children. The first one, I think 3.5, then it was a 4, then it was a 3, then it was a 2, then it was a 4. So who knows what I'll rate this. So this series, it's about children who they find these doors and they go into a land that basically fits their personality more than like the real world. And this one is basically like a horse girl's world. So yeah, so this one is about a girl who discovers like a world filled with like horses and centaurs and unicorns. So book number 2 on this list is The Project by Courtney Summers. I have read Sadie by Courtney Summers and I love that book, and I definitely want to read more of her backlist, but her new book also sounds super interesting, and it comes out on the 2nd of February. I'm not 100% clear on what it's about, but there's this girl called Lo and her parents have died, I believe, and her sister joined this kind of project thing, but Lo believes something fishy is going on, and so she goes and tries to like infiltrate it and try and like track down her sister to be reunited. And I believe it turns, culty. She wants to expose this project, but she finds herself going deeper and deeper, and then she can't tell what's real and what's not. So it sounds very weird and I'm excited. Okay, so book number 3 that I'm going to talk about is Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. That's what she uses when she's writing middle grade books. And this is the 3rd book in the Cassidy Blake series. So this follows a young girl called Cassidy who had a near-death experience and she can now see ghosts. And her best friend is a ghost. Her parents are ghost hunters. They actually cannot see ghosts, but they pretend to be experts in like paranormal. And they get a TV show, and so they go to the most haunted places in the world, which is not a great idea when you can see ghosts. So in the first book she's in Edinburgh, and in the second book she's in Paris, and then I believe this one, the 3rd book, is going to be in New Orleans. I'm sure more hauntings are going to be happening and more adventure, and I'm very excited. I really enjoy this. I don't read a lot of middle grade, but I just love these so much. They're so much fun. Also, I just love V.E. Schwab. Oh, and that comes out on the 2nd of March. So then book number 4 is also coming out on the 2nd of March, and that is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the 2nd book in the Last Hour series. So I really can't say much about this series because it follows the children of the Infernal Devices, and that would spoil the Infernal Devices for you. So basically, it's the children of those, and they've had a pretty peaceful childhood, but all of a sudden really strange demon attacks are happening, and I can't wait to be reunited with the love of my life, Jessie Blackthorne. I'm pretty excited for this one because I do believe there is kind of a small bit more focus on Lucy and Jessie, and I love them. So then the 5th book I'm going to talk about is The Mirror Season by Anna Marie McLemore. This comes out on the 16th of March. So I have read one book from them and it was a 3-star for me. It was Dark and Deepest Dread, and I liked the premise and I liked the writing, but this one, it sounds so heartbreaking. It's basically these 2 teens, they discover that they were both sexually assaulted at the same party, and they kind of build a friendship, and then all of their books involve some sort of like magical element that it's like, is it real or is it not? But yeah, so I'm sure it's about like magic and friendship and like living their lives, and I'm sure it's going to be a pretty heartbreaking one. So then the 6th book I'm going to talk about is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. It comes out on the 30th of March. I have mixed feelings on like all of Leigh Bardugo's books. This is the last book in the Grishaverse, I believe. Unless she does write a Six of Crows 3, then that will probably be the last one. I'm pretty sure this is kind of going to be near the end anyway. So I have very mixed feelings on King of Scars. I gave it a 4 stars. Well, I don't think it actually is, because I hate that ending so much, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this because I love Six of Crows. I do not really love the Grisha trilogy, and I was okay with King of Scars. So we'll see how I feel about this one. I really can't say much about this one because you have to have read both the Six of Crows duology, the Grisha trilogy, and King of Scars. The next one that I'm going to talk about is going to be Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. I love Heartstopper, I love Radio Silence, and I love, I like Loveless. The other books... So yeah, I'm up to date with it, so I will actually have read Volume 4 by the time Volume 4 comes out, but I will reread it. So this comes out on the 13th of May, and this story is graphic novels, and they follow Nick and Charlie. So Charlie is openly gay, and Nick always believes that he is straight, and so when him and Charlie, they start a friendship together, and soon Nick starts to question maybe this is more than a friendship, and cuteness ensues. Trigger warning for just like eating disorders. I know a lot of people have kind of a complaint about this, that oh, it ruins the happy fun vibes of it, but she has to do it kind of for continuity. She doesn't go into detail or anything like that, and she does very much focus on like the recovery side of it, but I think that's important to say. So it's not as though you're seeing anything bad on page, but it's more like mentions of it. She kind of had to put it in because we're getting into near Solitaire time. If you've read Solitaire, you know, and if you've also read like Nick and Charlie, the small book, and This Winter, you'll know that that stuff is mentioned heavily in those books. So she can't just like pretend that didn't happen and like write a completely different storyline for the graphic novels. So yeah, just be wary. Book number 8 I'm going to talk about is Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the second book in the Dreamers trilogy, which is a trilogy which follows Ronan from the Raven Cycle. Did I say that it comes out the 18th of May? People have very mixed feelings on the name and the cover and all of that. Yeah, I don't feel like it fits the vibe of like the rest of her, like all of the like Raven Boys / Dreamers trilogy stuff, like Raven Boys, Dream Thieves, Blue Lily Lily Blue, Raven King, Call Down the Hawk, and then Mr. Impossible. It just doesn't fit, but it doesn't bother me that much. I did like the first book in the Dreamers trilogy. I miss Gansey and Blue, and I hope that there's like some more mentions of them at least. I don't think that they're going to appear maybe in the third book, but I doubt it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. I don't think I will love this series as much as I love the Raven Cycle, but it's still good. So I'll take it. So then the 9th book on this list, it's not really super anticipated. Like I probably won't read it like as soon as it comes out, but I'm fairly intrigued about it, and that is A Psalm of Storms and Silence. Yes, by Roseanne A. Browns. This is the sequel to A Song of Ice and Ruin, which I read that back in July. This one comes out on the 1st of June. We follow 2 points of view, the Princess Karina and also Malik. So Malik is separated from one of his sisters while trying to get into the city, and he ends up making a bargain with this kind of spirit creature that he will kill the princess in return for his sister. And he enters this competition to do that. And then Princess Karina, she needs the heart of a king to resurrect her mother. And so she decides that whoever wins this competition will get to be her husband, and then she will cut their heart out. I kind of have mixed feelings on it. There was lots that I loved about it, and then there was some other bits that I just didn't love. My main problem with it was I liked Malik's character, but I found his point of view really boring. And then I didn't really like Karina's character, but I found her point of view very interesting. But I do think this is going to be the last book. I think it is only going to be a duology. I'm not going to be rushing to get to it because I only gave the first book a 3-star, but I'm pretty excited about it. So then the 10th book I'm going to talk about is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. This is a truly devious novel, but it is not connected to the first 3. Well, I mean, obviously it is because it's the same main character, and I'm sure she'll probably mention stuff that happened in the original trilogy, but I believe this is kind of a standalone after everything that has happened in Ellingham Academy. I think it's like summertime, and she's become a bit famous in like the true crime scene on the internet. And one day she gets an email from this, I think, camp leader or something, asking if she wants to like go to the camp where these murders happened and try and solve them. And I do believe it is a standalone, and I'm not sure is there going to be like kind of a load of standalone mysteries in the Truly Devious series, or whether this is going to be the last one, or I don't know, but it sounds interesting. And I'm not sure, did I say it comes out the 15th of June. So then book number 11 I'm going to talk about is probably, is it my most anticipated maybe? I think it's my most anticipated release of the year, and that is Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard. I have fallen in love with the Witchland series. If you read the first book, don't be put off. I know that isn't the greatest. I think it's solid, but I don't think there's anything like extraordinary about it. I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars, and I even gave Wind Witch a 4 out of 5 stars. Then Sight Witch, which you have to read Sight Witch to really understand Blood Witch and Witch Shadow. Like, you can kind of grasp it if you don't, but it's a lot easier if you read the novella. But Sight Witch was so interesting, and it was a whole different like perspective on this world. And then you get to Blood Witch, and oh my god, oh my god, I love that book so much, so much. It is so good. I'm very nervous and very excited for Witch Shadow. She already put the first chapter online for like people who are subscribed to her newsletter. I didn't read it because I'm afraid. Even though I saw somewhere what happens in the first chapter, and I'm like, what? Like wild stuff. It's already happening and it's only chapter 1, and I'm not ready. I believe that there's only 2 books left, so Witch Shadow and then the final book. But we finally have Isolt's book. Every book is focused on like a main character, or like one of our 4 main characters. So Truth Witch is Safi's book, Wind Witch is Merrick's book, Blood Witch is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, despite the fact he's my favorite character, one of my favorite characters, Etun. I should really Google that. And now book number 4 is going to be Isolt's book, and I'm not really excited. And then I think like the final book is going to be like all of them coming together and whatever, even though like you get everyone's perspective in each book, but it's like really focuses in on one. The Witchland series, it follows Safi, who is a Truth Witch, and her thread sister Isolt, and they kind of just want to escape from where they are and go and like run away together, but they get caught up in some political stuff and the whole world blows open. So then book number 12 on this list is going to be 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. So I believe this is kind of connected to the Spin the Dawn duology. It once again has an absolutely stunning cover. But I believe this story is a story that is told in Spin the Dawn or Unravel the Dusk? Can't remember. So I think that there might be like a cameo from a certain character in it or something. I'm not too sure what it's about. I should read the Goodreads synopsis. Okay, so basically this princess has magical powers that she's not supposed to, and she keeps it under control usually. And then one day on the morning of her betrothal ceremony, she loses control, and then her like evil stepmother turns her brothers into cranes and banishes the princess. She's basically cursed so that every word she says, one of her brothers will die. So that actually sounds super good. I was only adding it because I heard that it was like kind of connected to The Blood of the Stars, and also another beautiful cover. And now that I've read that synopsis, I'm way more excited for that. It sounds so good. So yeah, and that comes out the 6th of July. And so then book number 13, and the last book I will be talking about, is going to be Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. And this comes out the 27th of July. I read House of Salt and Sorrows last year when it came out, and I love that book. There was something about it. It was just wild, and just like the atmosphere, like it was so creepy, and I just loved it. And so then this is going to be Erin A. Craig's second book. And I believe it is another kind of like atmospheric kind of creepy book. So I'm going to just read the synopsis because I don't know what it's about actually. I just added it as soon as I heard that she was coming out with another book. So Ellery Downing lives in a quiet town of Amity Falls in the Black Spire mountain range. 5 narrow peaks stretching into the sky like a grasping hand, bordered by a nearly impenetrable forest, from which the early townsfolk fought off the devils in the woods. To this day, visitors are few and rare, but when a supply party goes missing, some worry that the monsters that had once stalked the region have returned. As fall turns to winter, more strange activities plague the town. They point to a tribe of devilish and mystical creatures who promise to fulfill the residents' deepest desires, however grand and impossible, for just a small favor. But their true intentions are much more sinister, and Ellery finds herself in a race against time before all of Amity falls, her family, and the boy she loves goes up in flames. So, it sounds interesting. It's not like my top of the list, but I will definitely check it out. So those are the 13 books that I am anticipating in 2021, and I'm sure there's going to be more. I will probably make a part 2 when it comes to like the second half of the year, because even just thinking about it now, like V.E. Schwab should probably release something else. I mean, wait, was the EO comic supposed to come out this next year? I don't know. She writes like crazy. She's probably gonna release something else. And then I think Aiden Thomas is also releasing another book this year. So I'll definitely have to do a part 2. That's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!